2018 Mercedes AMG GTR, and what a looker this thing is. Obviously heavily modified with the aero, such road presence, and these are only going for 110 to 120,000 on the used market. And I say only because these were closer to 200K when new, around 190K MSRP. And in terms of the road presence, at this price point, very much hard to beat. We're powered by a 4-liter twin turbocharged V8, making 577 horsepower, 516 pound-feet of torque, made it to a 7-speed DCT. Now that's the Getrag unit. It's a transaxle back here, actually the same unit from the 458 Italia, but just tuned differently in this example. But also it's front midship, meaning that the engine is behind the front axle. So the weight distribution of this car is actually more rearward than frontward. Very rare in a front engine rear-wheel drive vehicle. We're weighing in right around 3,700 pounds, double wishbone front and rear suspension, rear axle steering as standard, 9-stage traction control system, and in terms of mods, the owner has these KW competition dampers, also known as KW2A EXRs. Those are the coilovers from the AMG GT4, but keep in mind this removes the EDC, the adaptive dampers. We have Girodisc iron rotors, GP40 pads in the front and ST43 in the rear, Tikt brake cooling ducts, and Cup 2R tires. 285 section width in the front and 335 in the rear. These are thick tires. Gotta love this wing, this double-decker 2-stage. Love that. And on the front as well, the splitter, the canards, the owner does obviously track this. Gotta love this as well. Makes this look so race car, and it has such road presence. V8 bi-turbo badging on the side. Now getting into the interior, it has this wow factor, this initial impact. You have the two-tone seats with the red, but look at this thick center tunnel. I love that. Got the Alcantara wheel. Even the carbon fiber finish on these gauges is so nice. Now, one of the downsides by having this, I would say, aesthetic and very unique center tunnel and layout is that to get to the drive selector, you have to go all the way back here, and now your arm is cutting into the side bolstering. That's how you get into drive. We're not going to worry about the adaptive dampers because obviously EDC delete. The active exhaust valves also not going to worry about because the owner has set that to fixed always open. Here's how you toggle between auto manual, and we're going to change this into race mode and hold this traction off button until this gives us the 9-stage. Now on track the owner goes all the way off. We're on street, we're not going to do that. We'll go to the middle setting and we're off. Into manual mode. Whoa! You feel all 577 horsepower. First impressions, wow, this is a much sharper car than expected. Looking at the AMG GTR, you expect it, I mean, it's a sports car, but it looks almost like it might have some GT flavor to it. And this thing feels so sharp. The front end is millimeter precise and immediate, and so willing to change directions. That's again that front midship layout, helping with the polar moment of inertia. People focus too much on weight balance, not enough on the polar moment. This helps the car feel far more agile in the front end. The suspension though is way too stiff for street. Owner tracks this and I'm sure it's lovely on track, but here on street, far too stiff. Actually, you have to dial it back as a result because otherwise you're going to get unsettled mid-corner bumps. You don't want to have any surprises. But you can feel the quality of the damping is quite high. You can tell from the initial compression there's no crashiness, and sure it's quite stiff, but even the speed at which it rebounds, very quick, and as smooth as a stiff suspension can be. bumps and bangs from the exhaust. Let's give you guys a pull. Really immediate shifts from this DCT. Nice and smooth. Let's actually go to auto and see how it handles the programming. Nice, it's downshifting for me just the way that I would want. Perfect. Smooth, really quick shifts. Now, normally when you turbocharge an engine, you're concerned about the noise, you're concerned about the power build and delivery, and you're concerned about throttle response. But the way that Mercedes has tuned this, you're actually getting pretty good throttle response for a turbocharged engine. You're not getting much lag at all, especially if you're keeping the revs higher like I am right now. Again, this is a twin turbo, not a single turbo. And the noise is very much front and center. You can hear that exhaust without any issue. So what they're doing is they're trying to give you all the benefits of turbocharged, or in generally with forced induction, you're going to make more power, obviously. And they're trying to minimize the drawbacks. Is the throttle response as sharp as a naturally aspirated engine? Not quite, but it's pretty close. Is the sound, again, pretty close. Brakes have this initial travel, and then it starts getting a little bit more bitey, a little more firm. But the whole way it's linear, no weird pressure arc there, so you get this nice controllable brake pedal. 3,700 pounds is no featherweight, but it is handling its weight quite well, I must say. Now, if I had to critique the car at $110,000, $120,000, you are getting a lot of driving competence, a lot of performance, a lot of engagement, a lot of X factor with the street presence. But let's say something like a 991.1 GT3, there are some details that, you know, the steering has this very sharp immediacy, and it has a little bit of feedback, but not as much as a 991 GT3 as an example. They're both electric power assist, and generally electric power assist is going to have less feedback than hydraulic, but in terms of EPAS, it's good, it's just not great. The sharpness is great, the precision is great, but the feedback, it's good. The actual pedal weighting, the weighting and the arc of all the inputs isn't quite as one-to-one as with something like a GT3. Now again, these are smaller details that you adjust to with the ownership of a car, and you notice it less and less with time. It builds all the way to that red line of 7,000. Still have a great deal of mid-range torque as well. Suspension is so stiff, I can't even speak straight. But there is one thing that really stands out to me at this price bracket, which is the interior. It feels special, and I don't mean just this nice Alcantara chunky steering wheel, but you know, just the layout, the width to the center tunnel right here, and all the little details. It feels unlike anything else that you drive. Even from the outside, it has this visual impact, this visual presence and wow factor that you're not getting from other cars in this price bracket. I would love to try this car on track, because on street it is way too stiff to be fully and properly enjoyed. But just based on these initial impressions on street, I'm sure it would be a complete monster on track in the best way possible. My friends, let me know what you think of this AMG GTR. Big thanks to the owner, Richard, for letting me review his car. Big shout out to Fenton Sun from Zygreen for making this review possible. If you want your car reviewed, visit us on JabalAndCars.com. Fill out the form on the homepage. Much love, and I'll see you all in that next one.